Perfect.
Welcome in, everybody, to episode number 32 of the Bright Lights Podcast. I'm your host, Deegs, joined as always by my two wonderful co-hosts, Mahoney
What's up, dude?
and PT.
Good morning, beautiful people.
We are on a bright and early edition of Bright Lights Podcast today. All of us woke up nice and early to film this podcast. It's been 15 days. 15 days since our last one. Finals has kind of been bending everybody over.
We just went on a 2-week bender. We were down in Mexico just going ham.
We really haven't had any time to fucking do anything, but we're back. We're here. We're ready to go.
Grind out.
We have a 3-sport podcast today: NBA, MLB, and football, all going to be in it. Before we get into it, I want to shout out our Twitter at Bright Lights Pod, Instagram everything's pretty much at Bright Lights Podcast, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you follow us on that. Subscribe so you'd never miss an episode. Leave us a 5-star rating or any kind of rating if you want to. And if anybody wants to come on the podcast, we're always cool with having guests on. We had Draft and MLB on, I think, like fucking 3 months ago.
Yeah, it was like the 4th episode.
Yeah, it was like a super fun podcast. He's a really cool guy. So
go ahead, take a listen to that one.
What?
Go take a listen to that one.
Yeah, please. It was cool listening to him talk about shit, you know. But if you want to go and come on the podcast, talk about your favorite sports team, talk about sports in general, make sure you hit us up because we are more than willing to have pretty much anybody on. In terms of what we have for today, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste our time. So I think I'll take the lead on this one.
Go right ahead, big
draft. Because all right, so in terms of the NBA draft lottery the other day, probably the craziest lottery we've had in a really long time. I would say since Kyrie went to Cleveland, and even Derrick Rose to the Bulls. Top 4 ended up being the Pelicans, the Lakers, the Knicks, and
Cleveland. Oh no, New
Memphis,
Orleans, Memphis, yeah.
The Grizzlies, yeah. So that's pretty crazy considering that only one of those teams had a highest percentage chance to actually get in the lottery.
So dumb.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of like potential effects on free agency, I think the biggest one is the Anthony Davis trade. Obviously, with New Orleans getting the number 1 pick in the draft. Do they trade AD? Do they keep AD? AD went out and said he still wants to be traded. Their GM went out and said that he doesn't want to trade AD.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to either. I mean, imagine him and Zion together, dude. That'd be fucking insane. That team would be.
Yeah, I mean,
that would improve that team so much, just like that.
You look at their team going forward. Julius Randle's a free agent. He's been really solid for them. Drew Holiday's still there. He's a really underrated, underrated player. Anthony Davis and Zion. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But then I have to pose the idea to you guys: is if Anthony Davis doesn't want to be there, at what point does it become like a clubhouse thing? Where, I mean, if you trade this guy, go ahead, PT.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I was going to touch on in a second. Is where do you draw the line when a player doesn't want to be there? It's
exactly.
It's going to go into the clubhouse. It's going to destroy everything. You want someone in the team that will lead Zion and make sure that he comes up correctly. And if Anthony Davis doesn't want to be there, then there's no point of having him there. I hate to say it, but it just kills everything that you have built up.
Yeah, you know what? I know AD wants to go to the Lakers, and like there was talks of the Lakers. Do you think there's a possible AD 4th pick trade going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think all right, so basically, I'm looking at it. I was listening to some YouTube video. I can't fucking remember who it was, but it was a great YouTube video about like potential Anthony Davis trade situations. And I mean, what I took away from it was it's pretty much the Knicks, the Lakers, and the Clippers that would be the ones that could probably pull a trade off for him. Obviously, if he goes to the Lakers, yes, you have to include the 4th pick. There's no way you make a trade for Anthony Davis without the 4th pick. You probably have to throw in 1 or 2 of Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and then that probably gets the conversation going. In terms of him going to the Knicks, you have the 3rd pick, so that's probably super super cool for the Pelicans in their eyes, because if you look at it, Zion probably goes 1. Memphis has been very clear about how they want to take either John Morant or RJ Barrett, and then if they pass on either of those two, whichever one doesn't go at 2, will be there at 3. And Zion has had. Zion's played with both of them. He played AAU basketball with John Morant, and obviously he played this last year at Duke. So either way, you get a guy. You get to pair 2 young stars who have already played together and have chemistry on the same team. And the Clippers, they have a ton of young guys that they could throw in there. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Montrezl.
I like that Knicks trade. I really like that Knicks trade. I actually hope that happens because that'd be interesting to see what New Orleans does.
Yeah, so and I pose the question to you guys in terms of if he gets traded, which I think he will.
I think so too.
I don't think Anthony Davis is the diva that Antonio Brown is, but like PT said, at some point, enough is enough. If he doesn't want to be there, if he's not helping the locker room out, you have to move on.
Yeah.
But in terms of typical trade situations, I think he would be traded to the Knicks. I'm interested to hear what you guys would say though.
I actually listening to you talk at first, I was like, no doubt he's gonna go to the Lakers. It's gonna be Ingram or Kuzma with the 4th pick, and they're gonna get him. But it's going to be interesting what the Knicks do because they're going to be attacking free agency. They're going to be attacking Durant, Kyrie. I think they're going to get one of them. I think they're going to get KD. Pair KD and Anthony Davis, KD and AD. The Knicks, I think the Knicks are really going to pursue this. They're really going to go after it. They're not going to need the number 3 pick when they have all that money. So, yeah, I see them doing the deal with the Knicks.
No, I definitely could see both happening. The Lakers were obviously they have been in talks, and what I've heard from that is that the Pelicans have already said we mean way more than a 4th pick. I don't see the Lakers offering Kuzma. It kind of showed that when he was actually, in my eyes, it showed that he was off the table when they sent him to the draft lottery. It kind of showed him that that's kind of our face of our franchise, and that we kind of want to keep him here. So that means that Ingram and Ball definitely could be easily shipped off in a trade like that. But I don't see the Pelicans intrigued by that. Obviously, it's already kind of been shut down by them. But that New York Knicks trade, that is really, really interesting to me because say we get Zion 1 and then RJ Barrett or John Morant 3. That would be really interesting, and I'd love to see 2 good players. It would be interesting to see what they do, and how they approach of building a team around 2 great players coming out of there. So I would say Lakers are probably on the back burner by now, and the Knicks would probably be the most.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like what a Knicks deal would look like, you definitely have to add the 3rd pick. Obviously, that's kind of already written in.
Imagine Zion and RJ playing in the NBA together. That'd be insane.
Yeah, it would be. You would definitely have to package the 3rd pick, Mitchell Robinson probably because he's one of their only young players, and then you'd have to just put a shit ton of future picks in there because they don't really have that much young talent. Maybe Dennis Smith Jr. If they end up, actually that'd be a really good trade package now that I think about it. You toss Dennis Smith Jr. in there and pair him up with Zion and RJ Barrett. You have 3 players in your starting rotation right next to Drew Holiday who are under the age of like 23. That's absurd. That's really an athletic duo right there. So I definitely think the Knicks can give the best offer. I'm interested to see what's going to happen moving forward. But that leads into our next segment, how this Zion Williamson trade or Zion Williamson draft pick kind of impacts the entire NBA. If Anthony Davis is traded to the New York Knicks, what are the chances that one of KD or Kyrie signs there? Obviously, both of them can't because you can only have 2 maxes on your team at one time. But I honestly think that right now, I'd probably give it like a 30% chance that one of them goes there. But if AD is in the Garden, that's got to go up to like a 60 to 65% chance for me. That's got to be something.
I agree 110%. Yeah, I mean, it's just attractive to other free agents when they know they got a great player in AD. They got it's just a great situation for New York right now. It would have been better if they would have gotten the 1st pick, obviously, but they're still in a great spot. They're definitely going to improve this offseason. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, New York Knicks were obviously sad that they didn't get the 1st pick, but They still got the 3rd pick. They weren't the Bulls and got the 7th pick, so they definitely lucked out on that.
Fuck.
They still have trade pieces with that pick. So there's still a bright future for them and what they can do. I think just talking about this possible trade with AD definitely makes them look very, very, very good for the next couple of years if they can pick up some free agents for sure.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and then now we have to obviously talk about, because there's so many good players that are going to be free agents this year. Obviously, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis.
Before we move into free agency real quick, I just want to touch on something about the draft that I kind of have had on my chest since watching it. So I don't know if you guys watched the lottery, but I did.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I was very disappointed to just literally just find the whole lottery. I know Zion is a generational talent and that he's unbelievable. But the fact that every word that came out of everybody's mouth was about Zion.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Zion, you're going here. Zion. And he didn't even want any of that. I remember they did an interview after the lottery was picked. Are you ready to go to New Orleans? And he's like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I just felt like that it almost made him uncomfortable. They had him mic'd up the whole time. They literally – I just felt it was really awkward for almost all the other kids sitting around him, and it was unfair to them because I felt Zion also felt the same way. I don't know how you guys felt, but that was just
I
agree.
The whole thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I understand. He's a generational type talent. There's potential for him to be, at some point, one of the best players in the league. Maybe the best player in the league. I wouldn't go that far, but definitely one of the better players in the league.
Yeah.
Top 10, top 5, whatever. But, I mean, they're asking him. They asked him a question before the draft even started about who's better between John Morant and RJ Barrett and who he thinks is better. Like, why are you asking a guy that question?
Yeah,
what's
especially when he's played with both of them. That's just going to divide them.
Both of them. He's friends with both of them. There's a chance that he plays with both of them in the fucking NBA. And now you're going to ask him that question? Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And then, I mean, yeah, like PT, whoever, Rachel Nichols or whoever the fuck it was, they're like Zion this, Zion that. It's the whole goddamn draft. I understand generational type talent, superstar, great. Just had one of the more impressive college years we've ever seen. But he's a 19-year-old kid. Like he's our age, right? And has all this pressure put on top of him about this. And are you ready to go here? Are you ready to go there? Where do you want to play? He wants to play in the garden. Like just let him be. Like he's a 19-year-old kid. That is how you destroy someone, and that is how you get into their head. I'm not saying that Zion's going to get destroyed. I'm not saying he's mentally weak or anything. I'm just saying that at this point, just let the kid play. Let him play.
Yeah, seriously.
Let him figure stuff out. He's probably going to be a star, and it was just super annoying how Zion this, Zion that, putting so much pressure on a guy who already has enough pressure on him in general.
Yeah, no, I agree 110%.
All right, so real quick, just one more thing that I want to talk about before we get into the long-term effects that I think this draft is going to have on the NBA draft moving forward. If for some reason it's probably not likely, but I think the Clippers will be in on this Anthony Davis trade saga. If they get him, they've already been rumored to be linked to Kawhi Leonard, who I think is going to leave Toronto if they don't make the finals, which they're getting their dicks kicked in right now. So I don't think that's going to happen. And Klay Thompson, which would be huge. If Klay Thompson leaves the Warriors, that would be a massive, massive loss for them.
I think he's gone too.
I don't think anybody truly understands how good he is, but
well, yeah, nobody knows because they got Steph Curry and Durant, and it's all the Steph Curry Durant show. So I mean, Klay Thompson. I mean, we saw it 2-3 years ago before they had Durant. It was like Steph and Thompson. Then when Durant came into the picture, everybody forgot about Thompson.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Trace Thompson, former White Sox player, is brother Klay Thompson. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Trace Thompson, who hasn't been in the.
Yeah, no, he's probably donezo. Yeah, he's probably playing independent ball.
He's probably watching his brother right now, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so because he's not really doing much.
Yeah.
But in terms of like if AD gets traded to the Clippers, I mean, I think that kind of has to solidify either one of Kawhi or Klay Thompson going there. And the Clippers had a pretty solid team this year. You know, Pat Bev, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Montrezl Harrell, Danilo Gallinari. They have all these guys. They took the Warriors to 6 games playing this grit and grind style of basketball. But I think that if AD gets traded to the Clippers and they get Kawhi or Klay Thompson, that's kind of like that's their city now. LA would be theirs.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
LA
100%.
is kind of already theirs. But that's kind of, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for that because that'd be kind of cool. I just want to hear what your guys' thoughts on are LeBron James going to the Lakers in free agency, and then the city not even being his anymore.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's just LeBron's the GOAT. He'll always be the GOAT. But the fact of the matter is, he's getting old. He can't do what he did in Cleveland. I mean, do you know how tough that is to do over and over again? Like,
Yeah,
he did it once. Actually, he probably did it twice, honestly, back-to-back years. But
he did it in 07 too.
yeah, so exactly. I mean, you can only carry a team so much. The Lakers really aren't that bad of a team, so I won't be surprised if in the next year or two they kind of turn it around. But as of now, you're right. It's the Clippers city. It's not official yet this year, just because LeBron's with the Lakers and it's LeBron. But I would say next year, if the Clippers really do finalize and do this everything that they want to do, the Clippers are going to be dangerous and they're going to take over that city, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I just was disappointed to see that there was literally protests outside of their arena saying get LeBron out of there, and it's just kind of
really
like,
I didn't see that. What was that?
Yeah. It was after
ESPN. Like it was covered by ESPN.
It was because their front office is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Lakers front office is terrible.
It's falling apart. Yeah.
And then all the fans went out there and were complaining about how LeBron came in and ruined their front office or whatever. It's just stupid shit. Right. That's why Lakers fans are fucking idiots. But
yeah, it's
maybe the White Sox fans need to protest to do something because Jesus.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're as douchebags. We're not as douchebags as Laker fans. But,
that's true.
No, yeah, but I think it definitely could be interesting to see what LeBron. I think it's kind of showing that him trying to put a team around him is kind of not working as well as it used to.
No, it's not going to.
Just because the fact that he's not able to do as much as he can anymore. Because you have people coming in like Zion that are just
quicker and stronger,
super freaks.
Yeah, Giannis,
super freaks. Giannis and all that stuff. And it's just it's going to be interesting. I definitely think that. And if it does happen, the Clippers could flip, and I think that it would be, in my eyes, I think it'd be super cool. I would definitely be down to see the Lakers kind of go down because I've never really been a fan of the Lakers. So,
all right. So moving forward, with this NBA draft, I think this draft. So before this lottery happened this year, they switched the draft odds. I think it was before, like the team with the worst record had the highest percent chance to get the number one pick. This year, they split it into three. So the top three teams had a 14% chance to get the number one pick. And by top three, I mean the teams with the three worst records in the league. Obviously, at the end, only one of them ended up getting it, the Knicks. So I think that the NBA obviously did this. They did this to try to eliminate tanking, try to get rid of tanking because they don't. Yeah. They view tanking as obviously what it is, a poor product of your team. But what this draft speaks to teams is, hey, you can still get a high pick or a higher pick than you were going to have without being terrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it tells the teams that are trying to be terrible, hey, fuck you.
Exactly.
You're probably not. You're not guaranteed a top 3 pick.
No, they're making an example out of the Bulls. That's what they're doing. I mean,
they're making an example out of every team that is trying to be terrible.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be interesting moving forward, obviously, because New Orleans got the number 1 pick in the draft without even trading Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
The Lakers got the Lakers got a top 4 pick when they weren't supposed to. The Grizzlies came out of nowhere and they got a top.
Yeah, what were they the 7th and 8th, or like the 8 and 9?
Yeah, they were like down there.
Yeah.
They were definitely not top 3. I can tell you that.
But how many teams are in the lottery?
Up until like 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I really like this. I think it makes the draft more fun. I still think the lottery is kind of fucking stupid.
No, I agree.
Sport does it.
Yeah, I remember people were trying to make the NFL, like we're saying the NFL should do it, and I was like,
no.
It's not. I'm not a big fan of it.
I mean, hockey does it, but see, this is the funny thing about hockey. The Bulls got fucked this year, But the Blackhawks, I mean, they got saved. We were supposed to have the 12th pick, and now we have the 3rd. So, I mean, like, that's just the way lotteries go. But something that I actually might want to see them tweak around is instead of having 14 teams, maybe bump it down to like 8.
That would be interesting.
Just because, I mean, even Miami. I mean, Miami probably should have gotten a little bit earlier of a pick, don't you think?
Oh, the Hawks too. The Hawks had 2 picks in the draft, and
they have 2 top 10 picks now.
Yeah. So
well,
I mean,
they were 5th, I believe. They were the 5th ranked.
Yeah, they were
5th worst in the league.
So
like, get 1 in there.
While it's kind of like intriguing for the whole like bump it down to 8 teams, they do the lottery, which is why I don't think they'll change it, even though it's probably
I agree. I don't think they'll change it either.
Yeah, they do it for everyone that doesn't make the playoffs. But I mean, it'll be interesting because if you put it to 10, do you have these teams, especially in the Eastern Conference, that are hovering around the 8th seed all year long, and then they just look at it and they're like, oh, we have to go up against the Bucks in the first round. Fuck that. We'll just tank the last 5 games and get a better pick than we would have.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. I want to move on to some other notes real quick. Mike Conley, the Memphis Grizzlies, Mike Conley, point guard. Pretty decent player, all-star caliber player. He's on the trade block because of John Morant potentially going to the Knicks. I mean, to the Grizzlies.
Oh, I was about to say the Knicks. Jesus, they're really stacking up.
So that's a pretty big deal, considering that 1, he has a huge contract, but 2, he could be an impact player wherever he gets traded to, if he gets traded at all. The Atlanta Hawks, we just mentioned, they have 2 top 10 picks, so that's interesting to see what they do there, if they try to package 2 of their picks to move up, or if they just stay pat and see what happens.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Lakers at 4, going to be interesting to see how that plays into an Anthony Davis trade, potentially. The Knicks at 3 as well. We already kind of briefly touched on those. I want to get into talking to my 2 fellow Bulls fans here. For the 3rd year in a row, your team gets the 7th pick in the draft. Let me hear it. Give me some thoughts.
I'm not completely pissed. Chicago has a good. What were you saying, PT?
Real quick, because I don't have much to say because you probably have more to say than me. So I'm not a huge NBA fan, but I do support all my Chicago teams, and the Bulls are one of my teams in Chicago. So I'm sitting here, I'm getting excited. I'm on the couch watching the lottery. Stuff starts to go down, and all of a sudden the Bulls pop up, and my heart drops for like no reason. Like, I probably could care less, but my heart drops because I know that we should have been in the top 4, and it didn't happen. And I think that it definitely, Bulls fans, people say that with Colby White, all that stuff, and I don't know if that's like, I don't know if it's gonna help. It's gonna be interesting for the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah,
it sucks. It really does. So I hope all my fellow Bulls fans out there can kind of get through this next year.
Yeah,
it's going to be another shitty year.
Yeah, but you know what, though? With this number 7 pick, I think this is kind of leading the way for either Gar or Pax for getting fired for the Bulls. They're not going to fire Paxson. They're never going to fire him. He's going to stay forever, which is going to drive me crazy. But Gar could probably get fired. I mean, they were getting ready for a top 3 pick. Now they get number 7. Kind of fucks up their plans a little bit because in this draft, the difference between a number 3 and a number 7 is ginormous this year. Colby White's a good player. He was good at UNC. You guys have probably listened to Redline Radio or at some point listened to it, but they talked about Colby White this past week. He looks like he's going to be a good NBA player. He might fit well with the Bulls. I don't know. Markkanen was a good number 7 pick, but then again, he really hasn't shown the superstardom that he can have.
He always gets hurt.
Yeah, he's always getting hurt. He's above average. Heinrich was a number 7 pick. So, I guess we have good history at number 7. It kind of sucks, though, getting the number 7 pick. I'm pretty ticked about it. I was watching it in the library. Had to be quiet. It's very tough to be quiet because I was not a happy man. But it's going to happen again next year for the Bulls. We're going to suck ass again. Probably get the number 7 pick again or some bullshit, but...
Then it's rigged. If it's 4 years in a row, then it's rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged if it's 4 years in a row. There's no way it just happens on accident.
Yeah, but, with the Bulls, I don't know what they're trying to do. It seems like they're just floating around, honestly. We're not going to sign anybody in free agency. Supposedly Jimmy Butler was in Chicago yesterday. I think those rumors are completely false. He hates the Bulls. There's no reason that he would ever come back.
No chance. There's no chance.
Yeah. I actually went to his Instagram and looked at his story, and he literally his Instagram story of him being in Chicago was lunch in Chicago with Mark Wahlberg. So he doesn't give.
Yeah, I mean, the Wahlbergs just opened up their restaurant in Chicago, so that's probably exactly what he was doing there.
Exactly.
He had a terrible relationship with Garpax. There's no reason for him to even be around the Chicago Bulls. He said nothing but bad things. That's not going to happen. Nobody else is going to want to come to the Bulls because of all past experiences. There's been fights and like all this stupid shit that nobody wants to be around. Look at our team right now. I could probably name 2 or 3 players. Like honestly, like we just have a bunch of lower tier, no name guys. But
I remember last year when they did the photo shoot for like the upcoming season, and I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, seriously.
Who is that? I was like literally just swiping through the pictures, and I had no idea who any of the kids were.
No idea.
It was unreal.
No idea. So it's not looking good for the Bulls. It's not going to look good for. Oh God, I don't even know. With Giannis, dude, Giannis is gonna be the LeBron now.
He's gonna terrorize the East for
he's gonna be our LeBron now. So everybody says with D Rose,
and come to Chicago, he look better and
he would look better. D Rose, with D Rose, everybody talks about what could have happened, but a lot of us know what would have happened. It would have been a lot of second round exits against LeBron, and I think it's gonna be that way too with the Bulls. They're going to stay mediocre, and they're just going to get their asses wiped with Giannis every year. If they ever get to the point of actually making the fucking playoffs.
All right. That's probably the most we've ever talked about the NBA.
That's the most, yeah, by far. By far.
I mean, we'll probably do something when the NBA draft rolls around.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever. Let's get into some baseball news.
Hell yeah.
Brief baseball news. It's been 2 weeks since we talked some baseball.
It's been 2 weeks since we talked, period.
Yeah, for real. The first thing I want to get into, Mahoney, you put a poll out on this on Twitter, on our Twitter, at BrotherXpod, follow it, about Chris Sale after he struck out 17 guys in like fucking 7 innings, something absurd like that.
Yeah.
106 pitches, they took him out. He did not go out to pitch the 8th inning. You put a poll out saying if you would have kept him in the game or if you would have pulled him. So real quick, I want to know what you voted on that poll. And why?
Okay, here's why. I voted that yes, I was upset that they pulled him. I understand 106 pitches, but Jesus Christ, 17 Ks in 7 innings? How can you not, like, I'm almost positive that hundreds of records that have been broken were because they stayed out past their pitch count, 120, 130 pitches. They're records that we're going to talk about forever. I'm kind of mad at Chris Sale for not really telling him to keep him out there because I don't know. Were you guys watching the game?
I wasn't watching it, but he said something after the game.
Yeah,
how he trusts Alex Cora
exactly.
Or whatever.
So once they went out to pitch again and Boston took out Chris Sale, they showed video of Cora and Sale talking, and it was like all buddy and like Sale was like, okay, I'm gonna go take a shower now and stuff, and it was all. That just like irked me inside because you gotta have. It just didn't feel like he wanted that record. Like you play baseball all your life to be extraordinary, to do special things, win championships. Sure, he already won a championship, but imagine having that all-time K record. Because at the pace that he was going to shatter it. It just disappoints me. Back in the day. If a coach told a player or told a pitcher to get out of the game because of their pitch count, they would have told him to fuck off and they would have shattered the record. The MLB needs more guys like that. They need more passion. Maybe not passionate, but they need more in your face. Fuck you guys. I don't feel like they have too many of those with pitching.
Well, I kind of view Chris Sale as one of those guys that are kind of a fuck you guy. I mean,
I think he's
had instances where he cut off jerseys.
That's just being a psychopath, though.
Yeah,
I know, but still, I think that he is kind of that fuck you guy. Like
I agree 100%, PT. He's definitely a fuck you guy. Him and Max Scherzer are kind of like my go-to like fuck you guys.
Max Scherzer, no doubt. Pitchers.
but I think say okay. This kind of ties into my point as to why I was fine with him being pulled out of the game. I understand. I'm so down for record breaking. Like if this guy would have struck out like 22 guys, I probably would have been hard the whole time.
Oh, I would have been
But
rock hard. Like, yeah.
this is a guy who has been struggling mightily this year. He's been terrible up until like his last 3 starts, piss poor. I think it's because his velocity's down. Why is his velocity down? He's always been a guy that throws upper 90s. He's been fuck you, blowing sliders right by you at 90 miles an hour from fucking Randy Johnson's arm slot, just giving you the big old dick right there. Okay, his velocity's down. I think it's because he's been hurt. Okay.
Who?
And Chris Sale.
Oh yeah.
I think he's been hurt.
I think you're right.
I think when a guy that throws 98 is throwing 91, there's got to be something going on.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So at that point, and I would have to assume if he's injured or something's bothering him, Alex Cora knows about it, and the front office knows about it. And even though he had 17 strikeouts, they don't give a shit because they care about their best pitcher on a rotation that's already fucking terrible being healthy come October. So these guys can win a goddamn World Series before JD Martinez and Mookie Betts are free agents and their window is fucking shut down.
Oh yeah. So, what does JD have? 2 more years?
I think he's a player option after this year.
Okay.
I don't think he'll exercise it, but he's got a player option.
Yeah.
But in terms of Chris Sale, it would have been dope seeing him go out there. I wasn't mad that they pulled him out just because you have to worry about this guy who's been piss poor already being healthy and ready to go come October to anchor your rotation to win a fucking World Series again, because that's ultimately what matters. And he'll tell you the same thing. I don't think he gives a shit about a strikeout record if it means winning a World Series.
Yeah.
But all right, so moving on, Chris Bryant, 3 home run game. Only the second time in MLB history that a player has homered in back-to-back innings. He hit a home run in the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th inning. So we're going to kind of tie these next 2 segments together. First off, Chris Bryant, he's been on a fucking tear as of lately. It was like 25, 26 straight games getting on base. It's the second time in his entire career that he's hit 3 home runs in a game. A few weeks ago, people were talking about how Chris Bryant needs to get going. He's not good anymore. He's playing like shit. And they were talking that about the Cubs. Cubs playing like shit. They need to get going. This guy gets going. He's hitting like 390 over the last 2 weeks. What does it mean for the Cubs to get this guy going? This guy was hurt last year.
Are you kidding me?
This guy won an MVP. What does it mean for that lineup?
A whole different realm of possibilities for that lineup. Once KB gets going, I mean, I remember going to Cubs games and watching him play, and I remember one game he had a nuke, and the stadium erupts. Like, it gets the fans going, it gets everything going, it gets the Cubs going. Once KB gets going, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
I mean, Javi's got like a 16-game hitting streak. Wilson Contreras is playing out of his fucking mind this year.
Javi's kind of hitting a little speed bump right now, though.
Javi's slowing down a little bit, but I mean,
it's gonna happen on a 162-game season.
Exactly. He's gonna have his ups and downs. He's gonna have games or stretches where he plays like shit, and then he's gonna have games where he goes off. Wilson Contreras is ridiculous right now. Absolutely bonkers what that guy's doing. Anthony Rizzo, he's been decent. He's not really been Anthony Rizzo, but I'm sure he'll pick it up. And then they've gotten plenty of production from their outfield. Albert Almora has been pretty solid.
Hey, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Where's Ian Happ?
He's down
sitting his ass in AAA. He's struggling.
And he should be gone at the deadline.
He's batting like 230 in AAA. Like he's not.
Really?
Yeah, he's not doing no bueno. No bueno for Ian Happ. His cup of tea in the majors is done.
But yeah, dude, I mean, they're getting production. Even Kyle Schwarber, that fucking gremlin fuck, is hitting the shit out of the baseball right now. So
yeah,
the Cubs are scary. And we talked about this when we did our
I don't even think Schwarber's faced any lefties this year, has he?
Oh, he's raking against lefties. I saw something on that Starting 9 tweeted. He's hitting like 340 against lefties.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you, Schwarbs. Good for you.
Yeah, for real. We talked about this in our tier rankings. I think we all had the Cubs in B, either B or C, and we talked about the potential how this team has an ST or has an A+ roster. And I mean, they're showing it, dude. Their pitching's been solid. John Lester has a ridiculously low ERA. Quintana's been pretty decent for them. Yu Darvish has been all right, which is kind of embarrassing because it's Yu Darvish. Yeah, the bullpen hasn't been terrible, but this is a team that is rolling right now. They're hot, and they have to be the favorites to win the NL Central at this point.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about their
100%.
pitching a little bit. Lester, everybody thought he'd start slowing down. I don't know what's he's taking something because he's a god.
He's taking his cock and slapping it around everyone's face
He
right now,
is.
dude. That's
I
what he's
mean,
doing.
it's insane how he's not that old. He's getting up there, but he hasn't slowed down in 10 years. He's
it's absurd.
He's still in his prime.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, and then Lester, and then Hendricks. Oh my god, I feel like such an idiot. I knew Hendricks every year takes 3 to 4 starts for him to get in his groove. He's a sinker baller. It just happens. It's a feel thing. I traded him with Chance PT. Chance.
Shout out to Chance.
Shout out Chance.
Chance Roach.
I traded him Hendricks and one other player. I forgot who it was for Glasnow and Snell. Well,
That's not bad though.
Well, Glasnow's on the fucking shitter, and Hendricks is getting 30 fucking points a game.
Yeah, but we're a dynasty league too, so I mean,
yeah, I know, but still, it hurts the heart a little bit.
So I just want to touch on. We've always been talking about how their bullpen is always going to be their downfall, but when you have a offensive lineup, when you have a guy that hits 3 home runs a game,
they're just gonna pound you.
Yeah, exactly. That's just a demeanor killer. You just have to have your bullpen come in and throw strikes. And man, I just I remember hearing the story about how everyone thinks that Chris Bryant, when he switched to he broke his bat and he got a new handle called the axe bat, the axe handle, and that's what changed his whole swing up and everything. And I think I think this is what the Cubs needed, is this new spark, because I think over the you could say over the duration of the year, he's definitely they've been kind of searching for something. Baez has kind of always been there, but their player is Chris Bryant. Their guy is Chris Bryant.
Yeah, that's
always kind of been searching for him to finally do what they've saw him do before, and he's starting to do it, and it's very, very, very scary.
Oh yeah, dude. They have to be the favorites to win the National League Central. I like the Brewers. That their pitching staff concerns the fuck out of me, and the Cardinals are just
the Cubs are winning the division.
Yeah,
no doubt. And I hate to say this, but they got a shot at the series this year if they keep it up.
I mean, we'll talk about a team in a little bit that I think is just going to shit on everybody during the playoffs. But yeah, we'll see. Moving on to my second point of this whole Cubs thing, and the team that Chris Bryant actually hit the 3 nukes off, the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals and their absolutely terrible bullpen. We talked about this when we did their MLB tiers. This is a team that I had winning the National League East. I don't think anybody else did, but I look like a fucking idiot now because of that. But they gave up 10 runs in 2 innings yesterday to the Cubs. They went into an inning only losing 5-4 with Mike Montgomery coming in. You kind of felt like they had a chance to win it and come back and win that game at home with Scherzer on the bump for them too. And then they just took a gigantic Mack truck shit, and it just went everywhere. This has to be brought up where it leaves them moving forward, because their bullpen's been awful this year. Sean Doolittle's really been the only solid piece for them. So this is a team right now. PT sits at 18 and 26. They're in 4th place in the National League East. They're behind the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets, which is going to be a hard rock to climb.
Yeah.
With a bullpen this shitty. This has to be brought up. Do you think, or is it possible that they start selling it at the deadline and we see guys like Anthony Rendon, Steven Strasburg, maybe even Max Scherzer on the move?
Yeah, I definitely think that could be a possibility. You even said at the beginning of the year that this division is going to be a hell fight. It's going to knock the shit out of people, and you kind of see the Nationals kind of getting the worst end of it right now, and I definitely could see something like that happening. You never know. If they don't hit that, if they don't get where they want, there definitely could be a fire sale, and people could be sent out. And I don't think I would not put that in the back burner right now. I definitely could see that happening.
Fuck yeah, dude! I actually can definitely see them trading. They're gonna keep Scherzer. They get a haul for him, but getting rid of Scherzer is going to be pretty tough.
Can you imagine?
That'd be insane. I could see them selling off pieces like Corbin they're going to keep. They just signed him, obviously. I can see them getting rid of Dozier. I can see them getting rid of Matt Adams. I'm pretty sure is on their first baseman right now. Pretty much everybody. I can see them definitely. I know they've been trying to talk extensions with Rendon, but it's not it's just not happening. I don't know what the holdup is. He's obviously, in my opinion, probably he's top 3 third basemen in the National League, not the league,
the
National League.
Yeah.
So I know the White Sox are after him. I'd be pretty pumped if they trade him at the deadline because 2 things. 1, Sox could trade for him, extend him. We have prospect capital to do so. 2, they're going to trade him to a contender that's only going to want him for this season, and that's going to leave him in free agency. So I'm happy with either one as long as he doesn't extend because I'm sick and tired of these fucking extensions where we're going to have 5 people in free agency. So I'm ready for them to start trading people. It's about that time of the year where we're actually probably in the next couple weeks we might see our first trade. June we'll really start seeing some trades. July, and especially now with the 1 trade deadline, going to be a little interesting this year. So I hope so.
I think you're right, dude. Rendon's the big one here. They've been trying to extend this fucker since the beginning of last offseason.
Yeah, no.
They haven't been able to. I don't know if they're just not reaching what he wants, or if they. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, we're not in the front office, but I think at some point, when you try to extend a guy for so long, he doesn't sign. Extensions very rarely happen during the season. That doesn't really happen a lot. Usually, you see them happen towards the off season or the very end of the year. And I think if they haven't worked out an extension with him, which I highly doubt that they are even talking about that in the middle of the season, especially with the shithole start that they've had, and you look at your team and you're out of it right now, and you can't keep a guy, I think you got to trade him at the deadline. That's going to be huge. If Anthony Rendon is on the block at the deadline, obviously that's going to reboot their farm system. Whoever he gets traded to, that's going to put a dent in the farm system. That guy's a fucking stud. So that'll be interesting to see. But, I mean, I picked this team to win the goddamn division, and now they're fucking going to sell their whole fucking team off at the deadline. So we'll see. We'll see what happens from there. 2 more things, really 3 actually, I want to talk about here before we call it a podcast. The Houston Astros.
Actually, I want to talk about the Astros. I'm pumped. Let's go.
My fucking Houston Astros. I put them in the goddamn A+ tier, and this is why, baby. 9 straight wins. They're going into Beantown. They're giving the Red Sox a dick. George Springer is lighting the goddamn world on fire.
He just turned diamond in MLB The Show. Congrats to George on that. Congrats. I bet he really cares about that.
Attababe.
Congrats,
baby George. Attababe. You just made some guys ahead you as a gold, a very, very happy men who could now either sell you.
I was not one of those men, so I'm a little upset.
I'm also not one of those people, but still, 9 straight wins for the Astros. They're hot. They're on fire. We talked about this. The division is theirs, but they're the best team in the American League right now. They have to be.
Debatable best team in the league. Them and Dodgers, the Doyers.
And that's here's what I want to talk about here.
The Doyers,
the Dodgers and the Astros. The first 2 teams in baseball to 30 wins this year. Kind of impressive. Fuck the Dodgers, but still very impressive. I want to talk about
Jock
playoffs,
Peterson?
right?
Yeah, I agree.
I want to talk about playoffs here.
Okay.
Both of these teams presumably are making the playoffs, right?
If one of these 2 teams don't make the playoffs, it'll be the biggest downfall in MLB history.
Yeah, I think it will be too. So we talked earlier about the Cubs potentially challenging for a World Series title.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about which one of these 2 teams has the better chance of getting back to the World Series because they played each other 2 years ago and winning it. Okay. Here's my stance on it. The Astros are ridiculous right now.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Okay. Ryan Presley just broke the record.
I just want to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Shout out to that guy. He's fucking.
Before we move on, I'm actually gonna hit that real quick. Mahoney, interesting fact: his K to walk ratio. 47-3.
Holy shit. Wow, that's crazy.
And when he got traded from the Twins to the Astros last year, he pitched 21 1/3 innings, had 25 Ks and 0 walks.
Yeah, he hasn't given up a run since last August. That's absurd.
Yeah,
But the
good
Astros,
pickup. Fuck the Twins.
You have to assume that Boston is going to probably figure it out. The Yankees will get healthy, and that.
Well, the Yankees just moved into first place.
We'll talk about them in a second, you jackass.
Sorry, I apologize.
You have to assume that they'll get everybody healthy and back and ready to go. But I mean, how hot is this Astros team right now? I think. I mean, obviously it's really early. It's May. Their bullpens had some struggles this year. I think their path to the playoffs is going to be a little harder than the Dodgers. Their path to the World Series will be a little harder than the Dodgers, but I could definitely see this team making it back to the World Series. Before the year,
easily.
It was kind of like Boston, New York. Which one of those two powerhouse giants is going to make it to the playoffs? And I think you got to put some respect on the Houston Astros right now. In terms of the Dodgers, I'm telling you right now, dude, I hate to say this. I fucking hate to say this. They're going to murder everybody on their way to the playoffs. This is the best team in baseball by far.
Yeah.
It's not even close, in my opinion. They had the best lineup. I saw them absolutely destroy Chris Paddock with my own two eyes, like last week.
Yeah, you wanna talk about that a little bit, Deeks?
Yeah, dude, I fucking told you
fuck
guys.
Jock Peterson, dinger! I told you.
What did I not say?
You
I
did.
literally texted it in the group chat.
You did.
Fuck Jock Peterson, and then my next text was he's gonna the home run on the next his next at bat, and he fucking hits a goddamn home run.
Dude, I think you can see in the future. I legitimately do. Like,
Yeah, there's some
stuff
times
that
where you just know
like,
shit.
Blows my mind sometimes. The Raiders beating the Steelers is like, what?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I mean, in terms of their path to the playoffs, okay, go ahead, Mahoney. Talk about the fucking Astros and the Dodgers.
Huh?
Talk about how do you think? Which one of these teams do you think has an easier path to winning the World Series, and how do you think it'll play out moving forward?
The Dodgers, I think, have the easier path. I mean, the American League has powerhouses up and down. With obviously the Astros, Red Sox, Yankees. The Red Sox are going to click. It's going to happen. I mean, their team's too good.
They're starting to put it together.
Yeah, they're going to get some pitching help at the deadline too, so don't be surprised if something crazy happens there. Who else? I mean, the Twins are on fucking fire, so I mean, that's a very big possibility that they're in the playoffs. Whatever wild card team, the second wild card team is going to be good. Honestly, it'll probably be the Indians. The American League is a lot more stacked. It's going to be a Dodgers, Cubs, NLCS again this year. It's going to be the Dodgers though. Actually, if the Cubs keep up the way they're going, I guess you never know. But right now, I think the Dodgers have the easiest path to the World Series.
Yeah, dude, I'd have to agree. I mean, do we even see with the Astros even potentially? I mean, they have to at least be in the conversation for competing for a World Series title right now.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Obviously, it's going to be a lot harder for them. I think the Dodgers are just going to murder everybody on their way to the NLCS.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, now we really have a 3-team race in the American League. Before the season started, it was Boston, New York, Houston was right below them, and I think the Astros are right there. They're on fire right now. Everything's clicking for them, and I fucking love it. We're gonna move on to the fucking New York Yankees, baby. The Yankees, as David Ortiz would say. Gio Urshela and the New York Yankees are in fucking first place with half of their lineup on the disabled list, the injured list. My bad. But
whoa.
I want to talk about Gio Urshela, dude. This guy, literally, I had no idea who this guy was. Apparently, he was with the Indians last year and a bunch of other teams before that. He's hitting 347, 398, 500 on the year. His expected weighted on base percentage, exit velocity, hard hit percentage, and slugging percentage are all above average. His expected batting average on balls in play. So basically, when he hits a baseball, the chance that ball that he puts in play is going to be a hit is the third highest in all of baseball. He's a WRC plus of 134. His WAR is almost at 1. This is a guy who stepped in for a Yankees team that was absolutely destroyed, battered. No one knew who this guy was. He's playing third base for them. He can play shortstop. We've seen him play second base. And this guy's on fire, dude.
You know what's going to happen?
The other day to vault him in the first place. The fucking Miguel Andujar's labrum is off his body right now.
Yeah.
They don't need him because Gio Urshela is here. It's absurd how much depth is on this team.
If Andujar didn't get hurt, Gio would be gone. He would have gotten traded. But now they got a good player because Miguel's hurt. So
this team has a World Series caliber roster on the fucking disabled list, and they're still in first place. Do you know how terrifying that is?
No, I know.
Their two best pitchers are hurt, and they're
it's
still
insane.
in first place in a division that has the Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays.
Absolutely insane.
That's crazy. It's crazy. But that's all we had today, correct?
Yeah.
We're going to save our NFL content, unfortunately for you, PT. We're going to save that for our next episode. Yeah. Because that's going to be super cool.
That's going to be a good one.
I love listening to PT talk about football because
gets me moist.
He's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But again, that's all we have today. Follow us on Twitter. If you want to come on the podcast, slide into our DMs. Our DMs are dry as fuck right now, and we need more people in them. Thanks for listening, and have a good one.
Adios, peep. Perfect.